Hey guys, Stephanie here. In today's video we are going to be cleaning up some towers. I have several that need to be turned over, so I'm going to show you guys what that looks like, what we're saving, what we're consolidating. We're also going to be building a high density tower using a high density pump, meaning instead of being this tall, we're going to make it 2 more extensions high. It's going to be so tall, I'm going to need a ladder to get on it. But it's a good time to do it. We'll talk about that in the video. So let's get busy turning these towers over. Let me show you what's really involved in being a tower garden homesteader. Hey friends, well today is finally the day to clean out the towers. So I thought I would walk you through and just give you a good visual and some talking points on how to get this chore done. I've been a gardener for 20 plus years, and gardening is work, and there's times when it's more work because the seasons change, but still this way of growing food is so much easier than I've ever had to deal with when growing in the soil, as far as having to shovel in compost and all of the things. So I'm going to take you guys along as we clear out these towers and get them turned over for the fall crops. Here I have a teeny tiny watermelon. I wasn't sure what these would be like, and they didn't grow as large as I wanted them to. I put too many in one spot is what happened, but we live and learn, and that's what gardening is. Oh my gosh, it's so good. Wow. Okay, that's something. It's actually really good. And so here, sometimes people ask me how you get the net pots, which are the little black cages, out of the tower. And sometimes I have to use what's called a hory knife. I will link mine below. And you just slide it towards the back and pull forward, and then they pop right out. These plants right here are parsley plants. So some plants I'm choosing to save because I know they'll grow back, and especially this time of year when things are ideal. That's an endive. And you can cut the roots on things like parsley, cut the tops off, and they will regrow really nicely. So I have basil here, and in the baby greens section, these were massive all summer. There's actually some good basil here still, so I'm going to harvest that. Quite a bit of good basil in here. But I'm going to have to take at least the top of this tower off because these got so big. And there are roots pretty much all throughout this, so we are going to have to take this apart. So I'll show you how long that takes if you're going to pressure wash and take them apart. So I thought I would answer some questions that I get quite often while you guys just get a visual of, first off, the towers looking like a hot mess and how we get them beautiful again and functioning again. One of the questions I get is how much time I have to spend working on my towers. So this is the biggest chore, especially this time of year as well. This is when the towers are the most work because summer crops are huge and messy. I grew watermelon, squash, tomatoes. Those plants get really large and make a big mess, and you have to pretty much take most of the towers apart in order to get the roots out of them. When I'm transitioning from the garage to the spring garden, it's usually pretty easy. Most of the food I'm keeping, and I'm just spraying off the towers while there's plants in them just to shine them up a little bit. And then at the end of the spring garden, moving into the summer, I might need to do some of this type of work again, where I have to take the towers apart because in the spring gardens, I'm growing things like cauliflower and cabbages, and those get really big and have really big root systems, which require a little bit more work. So I would say twice a year, 3 times at the absolute most, I have to do this deep clean where I may have to take parts of the tower apart. apart in order to get the roots out, and that's very common. right, so I put the top back on. I blasted some of this, the camera fell and messed some of the filming up. So I don't know if I got this part. But instead of taking it all apart, I just blasted through each section, looking in there to make sure I washed all the roots out that were left. Now I'm gonna wash the top. I'm not going for perfect on these. I'm turning these over and I'm gonna start growing on them again so fast. So I'm just not super worried about my towers having stains and being a little discolored. I don't know. I feel like that could get really like trying to keep your house perfect. It takes over your life and doesn't focus on the things that are important. Same with this. The thing that's important is that we're growing amazing, clean, wholesome, better than organic food. Not that my towers look super shiny and white. There is a time that I'll scrub them and maybe use citric acid or something to get them back to white, but now is not that time. Now it's turn it over so we can have food on the table ASAP. And so usually for me, with the type of things I'm growing, again, I'm going to be at the end of the spring garden, having to do a pretty deep clean to get the summer crops in, and then at the end of the summer crop to get the fall crops in. And then the fall is going to be a combination. Some of my towers will go right into the garage, and I won't do anything aside from giving them a nice hose spray. And then some of them I replanted squash and cucumbers and summer crops to get an extra harvest of those things. And so those will have to be pulled out, and I'll probably give those towers a good deep clean before I either replant it in them in the garage or put them away for the season. And so what I'm using to wash these is a plug-in pressure washer. I don't know the name brand, but I just went to Lowe's and looked for one with a good reviews. Very inexpensive, easy for me to manage, which was important for me. I didn't want to have to deal with something big that took gas, and it's super easy to use. Alright, so this one's ready to be reloaded. I thought I had more time than I am going to have with this daylight. So what I'm going to do is focus on the most important things that need to get into a tower. And we'll just keep chugging along tomorrow. Do it again. Alright, I have so many things that need a home. Like I don't know. Sometimes I'm not in the mood to garden and do the chores. It's why I don't soil garden anymore. I've mentioned that before. This is not hard. This is so easy compared to like turning over my raised beds and getting them set up. Oh, I didn't wash this side. But I just haven't been in the mood. So everything's way overgrown as far as starts. But the cool thing is they'll just grow really, really fast the minute I get them in a tower. So by the end of tomorrow, I will have all the starts in a home, all the towers turned over, and it will be, you know, pretty effortless, even though I've been really bad in procrastinating this chore. It's also such a healthy thing to do. We should be outside doing things with our hands, and it's easy to not want to do that. So this forces me out into this beautiful, it's actually amazing out. Beautiful evening. I just say that in case you ever follow people and they're like, I love dirty fingernails and digging in the soil. I do not love that at all. I remember watching that and it was like a thing a while back. Like mason jars and dirty fingernails. Trying to glamorize and make gardening very romantic, which there are lots of parts to it that are romantic. Also lots of parts that are not romantic. All right, here are my parsley plants. I've taken off half the roots and cut them back. If I had parsley starts that I knew would grow fast, I would just feed these to the chickens, but I don't. The ones I have started are teeny tiny babies, and parsley takes a while to get established. You saw how big the roots are. These, however, will come back pretty quickly. So this puts food on the table faster than if I wait. gonna go all the way around the rim here. Just gonna go around this base here. If they have more than 2, I'm gonna thin them. Just because there's gonna be a lot on this tower and it's gonna grow fast. So I'll have better results if I just have 2. All right, next, peas. Patio Pride. This is a bush variety. I do 2 seeds per rock wool, and these are so ready. These will grow super fast. These really needed to be in a tower like 2 weeks ago. I still have more peas, so I'm going to move these turnips up. I'm going to put peas here. People always want to know, like, where's the perfect spot for this or that. There isn't really. There are some things to consider, but it doesn't really matter, honestly. Like, things up top do better than things on the bottom. So put the right things on the bottom, hardier things on the bottom is typical. Like I'll put a head of lettuce up here because lettuce will just do way better. Turnips will do fine, kind of in the middle. And like I bet if we look at this tower in a month, the peas up here may be doing a little better than the peas down there. Maybe. Not always though. I mean, I grow a ton of food on the bottom of my towers all the time, and it does amazing too. So I just know if I want something to be fast growing, typically a head of lettuce, they go up here. All right, we'll do our parsley tomorrow in another tower. So I'm going to put those in some nutrient water in my tray, and they will be fine overnight. I have my chives I took out and trimmed. I'm gonna put those up top so they don't get lost. Chives can get buried in things. Endive's so hardy. I just don't have any that are big right now, so this will be full and I can harvest it quickly. And then I'll pull it out. Arugula. These are pretty new and these can go a little bit longer, but I heavily seed them so much, and I talk about this in my seed starting course, that they really need to go in. They're starting to struggle a little bit. Plus, I want arugula. I'll be eating these in 2 weeks. Not all of them, but I will be able to start harvesting some of these in 2 weeks. Fast food. This is fast food. Two spots. It's a bok choice. If your plants are ever like sinking into this baby green section, pull them up. I like to put the rim of the rock wool kind of up a little bit so they don't get too much water. But that's it. This tower's full. I'm going to fill it with water and feed it. This feels good to have one down. I really was planning on doing 3 tonight, but that's not going to happen because it's dark. Friends, so it's the next day and I'm feeling a little more optimistic about getting this done today. 1, 2. We're definitely going to get 2 towers done. I want to build my high density tower, but I may do that in another video. We will see. I'm spraying. This is doTERRA On Guard hand wash, foaming hand wash soap. And it was just in my garage, and I added it to this 32-ounce water bottle. I would say like 4 squirts out of this bottle here that was in our camper, and that's it. And it's been working really well. I get aphids because I grow outside, and then I bring my towers in, and then these garage doors stay open a lot, certain times a year. And I was getting aphids on my peppers, and it's been working. I don't know if it was a fluke. I'm gonna stick with it for a bit and just see. So I'm about to spray those, and then we've got 2 towers. Yesterday, I did the one with the baby greens extension. Those are always the harder ones typically, but some of these towers have really big plants in them, which means there could be really big roots that are jammed up. And if I can't get the roots out with the plant, then we have to take them apart. So let's just dive in and see. All right, I'm gonna try and clean as I go so I don't make a huge mess. Things like this. So these are clips, if you're not familiar with these, and you put the rock wool right here. And these are great because they come out a lot easier. I have found they are good to use on things you're going to turn over quickly. And yeah, they're just easier to remove. I don't use them as often as I use the net pots. Sometimes the plants aren't quite as stable when you put them on here. So yeah, but they're an option. My green bean hydroponic adapted seeds. Not all of them are dry, but they are fully grown. Typically you want them to dry on the plant, on the tower, but these are still very viable, so I'm going to put those in a safe spot. So one thing with these clips, a lot of the squash plants were on these, which made it super easy to remove these, where it's not always easy to remove a net pot from squash. But what's happening is the roots are breaking off, so I'm probably gonna have to take this tower apart. When you have the net pot, it does hold the roots, and usually you can get the plant and the roots out. Another hack, you don't have to remove the net pots. You don't have to remove the net pots in order to clean the tower, even if you're taking it apart. They typically fall out once you start to take the tower apart, but especially if you're not having to take the tower apart and there's not roots bound in them, just leave the net pots in. It's one less step when you go to rebuild it. I reuse these until I can't. I still reuse that. Ooh, and we have a squash. Squash bugs. So squash bugs actually overwinter in the vines and the plant parts of squash. So burn them, feed them to your chickens, dispose of them properly, because you don't want the squash to overwinter in those plant remnants in your compost pile, and then you'll have an increased population next year. This one definitely needs to come apart. It is loaded, but we'll have an easy go with this one. So we'll just have to see. I hope we do, because I'd really like to build a tower and get all these starts where they're supposed to be tonight. All right, let's get busy. So what I do when I clean them is I will pressure wash, just kind of blast the inside of the grow cages out and maybe the bottom of them, but I'm not deep cleaning them until I put the tower back together, because they blow around and it's hard to actually clean them because they'll just move. So what I do is put them back together, and then I will give them a nice blasting, and you can get the pressure washer in the grow ports and clean everything really nicely once it's together, and it just makes it easier. Okay, so that's it. I'm gonna flip this over, put clean water in it, and we'll load her up. All right, so I pulled this off, and there's some gunk in there, and there's some roots, and it's just dirty. So what I'm gonna do, let's give it a blast. Fill this one up after we finish the other one, because the hose is plugged into the pressure washer. But that's it. There's stains on the top. And again, I'm not super worried about getting these perfect. I'm just getting them growing food. And on that note, there are cucumbers already coming in on the cucumber plants, which is amazing. So food, when you grow it at the right season, doesn't mean we don't want to grow it all the time, but sometimes when you nail the seasons and the weather's perfect, it just produces so fast. And so it's not going to matter how clean this is, because this is going to grow a bunch of food really, really quickly. And I'm excited because this one should be pretty easy, aside from stinging nettle. I will say, I have family members who, to say they didn't have a green thumb is like an understatement of the century, and are having success growing on towers, managing them themselves in their 70s. You can do this, totally doable, but don't fuss too much. I'll link my membership site below. I have my interval planting course In my membership site, I add a new course every month. My seed starting course is in there. These are all designed to help you have the greatest success and understand plants and make this as easy as possible. But it's through that the losses aren't that big of a deal. If something's not thriving, pull it out and you'll have a new start ready to go if you're following my seed starting and my interval planting. And it won't matter. We'll just take it out. We got a new one to take its place. We're out like 8 cents, maybe 11 per rock wool. So that's nothing. And it's rare the more you do it. I rarely have to pull a plant out because it's not thriving, because you get to know your plants and you get to know how you can move them on your tower. And like I've done here, I've got things that look terrible because I haven't taken care of these towers. I'm about to put them in these brand new towers, brand new clean setup towers. And those plants are going to turn around and look amazing in just a few days. So we do get a lot of grace with this kind of gardening. All right, let's fill these with plants. Okay, I've got basil towards the top so it'll grow really fast. Parsley, whatever these kohlrabi cauliflowers are. Kale bundles. Did I say kale? Basil. And then the one eggplant. And that is it. We're out of space. Wanted to do some of this beautiful lettuce, but I can put this in my home towers that are close to the house. I've got things I can harvest off of those. Aren't these gorgeous? Oh my gosh, they're so beautiful. And now we just need to put nutrients in them, and they are already plugged in and ready to go. And that's it. We cleaned, turned over 3 towers. That is 20, 40, 60, 108. That took me a long time. Don't do math on camera. 108 plants we just planted. So I turned over 3 towers over 2 days, total of about 3 hours, probably an hour each tower. That includes like cleaning up, because I've been cleaning up behind the scenes, putting starts where they go, putting old plants in the chicken coop, things like that. So I'd say about an hour a tower to clean them moderately. If you want to deep clean them and get all the stains off, you're probably looking at about an hour and a half, because you would, and then soaking time, because you would soak them in citric acid and then maybe dry erase them if you want to get all the stains off. It's probably never going to happen with me, but that's an option. So maybe an hour and a half if you want them to be much cleaner, 2 hours if you're a perfectionist, and that's it. We're growing 108 plants. I won't fuss with these towers again until it's time to go into the garage. Some of them will just go right in as they are. This one, aside from the eggplant, can just go right in the garage. That one with the peas will probably burn out. I found they don't grow super well in my garage environment, so I'll probably take those out and consolidate. And then the one behind you guys, kale, parsley, lettuce, yeah, some of that we'll eat over the next few months, and most of that stuff will go in the garage too. So Roots and Refuge always says real food comes dirty, and our food does not come dirty because we're not growing in the soil and it's real food. But occasionally you do get a caterpillar. So let me show you how to get a caterpillar out of a squash. Here it comes. Okay, there's our caterpillar. All right, I know this is probably going to be too much for some of you, but now I got my squash back. Thanks for joining me. Definitely subscribe and come back to see the high density tower I'm going to put together tomorrow. That'll be the next video. That one will be, I believe, 52 plants on one tower. It's going to be so tall. So cool. I'll see you guys soon.